I was tired earlier. I took a walk. I'm a little more alert now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yo,
That's one of those days. I knocked out yesterday.
after engage,
Yep. No, I have to engage after 10 times better.
you fell asleep that early?
Yeah, I was tired.
How?
You close your eyes and you go to sleep.
Hey, yo, I haven't gone to sleep. I can only go to sleep like early when I'm away.
Oh,
But
okay.
when I'm home, I can be tired, and it still be midnight. And I'm like, all right, I haven't gone to sleep before 10 o'clock, and like I can't even remember the last time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm very good at making myself go to sleep.
Do you stay asleep or you wake up
No, it's a solid sleep.
all the way through the? Wow, that's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
man. If I go to bed at like 9 o'clock, I'm probably up around like 1 or 2. It's like
No.
so. I've never been a good sleeper. Hey, y'all, welcome to Maximize Monday
Hey, guys.
as we do our banter as always. Um, yeah, but the Loki series, I like how they're setting up Kang the Conqueror, how they brought him in early.
I had to do more research into who he is in the
I'm
Marvel
gonna send you a
universe.
video. I'm gonna send you a video
Okay.
about it now. He's gonna be the new. I think he's gonna be the new villain of all the. He's gonna be the Thanos, so he's gonna be like lurking.
But he's worse than Thanos, apparently.
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no.
Okay.
He doesn't. He's not. He doesn't have any superpowers, but he's very intelligent and knows how to do tech stuff, and he time travels.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's gonna make it worse because he knows
Right.
how to go through time, and it's like a different variations of him in different places.
Mm-hmm.
So he can be this person, this one. It's gonna be something.
Wow.
Honestly.
The Marvel's doing their thing.
They are.
They really are. I heard that entire scene at the end was improvised.
Oh, with Jonathan Majors.
Yep.
Interesting. I'll be watching a bunch of videos about it. So where's this one at? Hey, y'all. Sorry, we're just talking to y'all. Get in here. Come on in.
Have you guys watched Loki?
Where's this at? I just sent it to my brother.
Oh.
Hold on. Don't forget this week we got Bible study tomorrow night, and then
Tomorrow night?
oh no, Wednesday night. Sorry.
I said, did I miss something?
It's
It's
I
only
don't know why I
Monday,
feel like it's
Pastor Nick.
Tuesday. I feel like it's Tuesday for some reason. But yeah, Bible study this Wednesday, Bishop's anniversary. Y'all be a blessing to him this week. We're excited about the services on Sunday.
Yeah.
The virtual. Hey, Victor.
Hey.
And yeah, I sent you a link. Watch it when we're done.
Okay.
A
Got
YouTube
it.
thing. You got to watch the YouTube channels when the shows are over. They do all the post credit breakdowns and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, they're pretty cool.
I'll check it out.
Hey, y'all. So last week y'all please y'all share if you can help us out, and we would love for you all to join us today for another great Maximize Monday. So last week we really started talking about grief and loss and how to manage it. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what we talked about, but
We talked about a lot.
we talked about a lot, and kind of want to continue on that thought process because I think. Go ahead, no, go ahead.
As I said, I think last week we talked about how it's okay to grieve instead of trying to bury it and make out like everything's okay.
Yeah, and using spirituality to act like you're not grieving. Yeah. Some people when they're hurt, instead of getting healed, they get spiritual, and they make that mistake. And they just basically covering the wound up with God or their version of God. Put it that way. Never really walking in wholeness at all.
Yeah.
I love the miracle scriptures in the Bible and all that stuff, but there are also scriptures about comfort, about peace in hard times. I mean, I posted something today. Jesus didn't come to deliver us from the human experience. He came to walk us through it. He walked through it. He lived it so that he can help us through it.
Right.
we think because we got God that we're not supposed to experience the same thing that humans do. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the Bible tells us that the rain shines on the just and the unjust. You know, it, you know,
Yeah.
stuff happened to saved folk, stuff happened to unsaved folk. And yes, I believe God can protect us. Absolutely. Do I believe God has done it? Yes. Do I believe God still will do it? Absolutely. But his protection doesn't necessarily, his protection can be seen in many ways, put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, we don't become less human because we're saved.
Right.
We actually become more human, better humans, perfect, perfected humans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's important to remember, like, if Christ had to go through it, his only son, like, we had to go through it sometimes too. And it doesn't mean that he's not there or that he doesn't, do miracles anymore.
Yeah,
But I think it's important that everything Christ went through was a process and it served a purpose. So to
absolutely.
kind of look at what we go through, the process, and what is the purpose of it too.
Absolutely. But there are some people that will teach you that we don't have to suffer because Jesus suffered. I'm like, it's nowhere in scripture.
Hmm.
If anything, Jesus suffered to teach us
Mm-hmm.
how to suffer well.
Yeah.
And I don't believe the whole Christian walk is suffering every single day, but seasons of suffering are embedded in the process. You know, the Psalm 23, you're not in the valley the whole entire time. That's just a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus experiencing the human experience um, is teaching us how to manage our human experience.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do when this happens? What do we do when this happens? How do we respond in this? You know, um, I just, it. I think sometimes some people are like, yo, just tell me the truth. If it's going to have some hard times, tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Don't just tell me it's going to be sunshine and days. And I've heard people preach that. People shout, "You ain't never going to stress again." Like that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
You may overcome some stress in some other areas, but that doesn't mean that things won't come up. This is your last time ever worrying for the rest of your life.
Right.
Really?
I mean,
Really?
that would be nice, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't always work like that. What the
Yeah.
Bible does do is tell us how to respond when seasons of worry come, when anxiety comes, when fear comes, when we experience all those things, this is how you manage it. This is what you do,
Mm-hmm.
rather than this avoidance thing, you know, um, where it's just because I got God, I never experienced anything. That's drivel. And it sets people up for failure and disappointment and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
And the question, not having that balance, okay, everything else doesn't really mean anything.
yeah, yeah. Hey, Keith, man, we're praying for you in the hospital. Shoot us up in the email. Let us know what to pray for. But you got to put it out here publicly for everybody.
He emailed already. I forwarded it to you.
Okay. All right, cool. Hey, from Georgia, how you doing?
Hey.
So today I really want to get into, and we never stay on topic,
No.
but but grief and loss as a beginning.
Mm.
Grief and loss as a beginning. Hey, KTB,
Maybe.
grief and loss as a beginning. Now, again, this could be a loss of a person, job, season, experience. Grief and we grieve, and we grieve the loss of a variety of things. This could be a season change, a person. It could be a circumstance, a job, whatever. A friendship that fell apart, marriage that fell apart. Whatever. It's a variety of things, but I think we have to start looking at it as a new beginning. Now, the hard part is I'm beginning my life without this person or this thing.
Yeah.
That makes you sad, right? Because you lose a job, it starts a brand new season in your life where you're looking for a job, praying that God will take care of you, all that good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You lose a loved one, they pass away. Now it's like, well, how do I live without this person? So you should have been
Right.
here, etc. They're beginnings. But if we look at Genesis chapter 1, the Bible just clearly says, in the beginning, God. And I love the phrase because God is showing us from the very beginning, whenever your life starts over again, I'm there with you in it.
Yeah.
you know. And I think if we get over how we begin and start thanking, being appreciative of who's with us in the beginning,
Hmm.
you know, it
Yeah.
makes it a little more tolerable and easier to manage because I know I'm not in this by myself.
Right. Yeah, that's good. And I think too, like, it's easy to over process things, at least for me, when you're in the beginning of wondering, okay, how is this going to happen? Or how am I going to go on? You know, sometimes maybe you just need to let it loose to God and let Him carry you through it so that, you know, you're actually starting your beginning.
Yeah. Was that serenity prayer? You look back and realize he was carrying you the whole entire time or something like that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Whatever that thing is. That's a serenity prayer, right?
I think
With
so.
the footprints in the sand.
With the footprints, yeah.
That's one I think it is.
Hmm.
I don't know.
It's one of them prayers.
One of them, yeah. um, but realizing that he had you the whole entire time. And the world started off without form or void, darkness on the face of the deep. It didn't look good
Hmm.
because God is not footprints. God is not that concerned with. I won't say he's not that concerned. God is not overwhelmed by how we start. First, because he's with us in our start, and he shows us from the very beginning,
Hmm.
Genesis chapter 1, I can rework your life so much that your ending looks different than the way you started.
Yeah.
You know, and loss always leads to a new start. But we got to know that God is with us in that start. He's with us in that beginning. And he knows how to take what's dark, formless, and void and start reshaping it, reshaping it, reshaping it. Um, you know, until starts to look different later on.
Hmm.
You know, um, that's what I want everybody to kind of recognize, that loss is a new beginning. It's a fresh start. It may not be the start we desire,
That's a true.
but it is a fresh start, though.
Hmm.
You know, I get it. We'd rather go back and stay stuck in the season. You know, uh,
Yeah.
but one of the best things about life. Now, I'll stop right here. One of the best things about life is that it moves on. One of the worst things about life is
That it
that it
moves
moves
on.
on.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. Because
Yeah.
when it's convenient, you're like, thank God it moves on. We can
Yeah.
get past this.
I
Time is past it. But some seasons you're like, but I
yeah.
don't need to get past that.
And I think part of the challenge too is feeling bad that you are moving on and
Yeah.
that is being perceived as letting go of that person or that loved one.
Mhm.
But, you know, one of my favorite quotes from WandaVision is, you know, what is grief if not love persevering? So love is still there, but you have to still go on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, and that's really what it is. We it's not that we act like the new start didn't bother us or it's not there. It's just you
Hmm.
learn to manage it better.
Hmm.
You know, you learn to get through it. I was watching this show, Mayor of Easton, and it's on HBO. It's a lot of cussing in it. So if you don't, you know, a lot of cursing in it. I'm like, geez. But there's a scene where the guy asked the lady, like, you know, does it get, basically talking about loss, does it get any better? And she said, no. That was one of the most honest things that sometimes people need to say.
Hmm.
She said, but you learn to live through it. You learn to still
Yeah.
get up and do everything you got to do, because there are times where some years it'll feel better, some years it'll feel worse, you know. And
Hmm.
I'm not one of the whole where it's like, you know, never get better. But
Right.
where she was at the moment, she was honest, like it's not getting better, but you learn to still do what you got to do with it.
Hmm.
And part of it's because she didn't confront stuff, but you have to watch the show. uh, but learning to deal with stuff like we talked about last week, which that was a big part, was learning to deal with the stuff so it won't stay as hard,
Hmm.
or put it like harder than it should be, unnecessarily hard, because we refuse to deal with it.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah. Because there's some seasons we wish we can get back. You know, I wish that could have stayed like that forever. And it's like life moves
Hmm.
on.
Or I wish I could have done things differently.
Yeah,
That's a hard one too.
yeah,
You know, I wish I could have spent more time with them. I didn't know that they weren't going to be here tomorrow.
yeah.
How do you overcome that?
Well, part of that is the guilt of Part of that is the guilt of knowing what we could have did better.
Mm-hmm.
There's two ways I'll approach that. If the person was just straight up trifling, like let's take the guilt of the loss of a person. If the
Mm-hmm.
person was trifling when the person was alive, they're going to have a lot of guilt
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to look at all the stuff they should have done.
Yeah.
If you were a good person, did everything you could for the person, but you still fell short in some areas, that's just a part of the process. You have to give yourself some grace. None of us are
Yeah.
God, you know.
Mm-hmm.
None of us are God because we always look at the stuff we should have did, you know. And part of that is learning to forgive yourself,
Right.
you know. And if you were genuinely did everything the best that you could, did the best you could. Now, if you didn't do the best you could, that's when you got to learn to forgive yourself. But it takes some reality there.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people like I wish I could call them again, but it's not like I didn't call them before,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So the premise is that you know, all of us need to give ourselves some grace and learn to forgive and learn to be different later on, to value relationships and seasons and opportunities because why? Seasons change.
Mm-hmm.
Ecclesiastes, to everything there's a time, to everything there's a season.
Yeah.
You know, this happens here, time to laugh, time to cry, da, 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 and he ends it off, but God will make everything beautiful in its time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hope we have.
Yeah.
That seasons change, that he will make everything beautiful in his time. The hard part is waiting for his time
Mm-hmm.
to become beautiful. So, you know, there are some people that, and this will help, hopefully Tasha will help you out. Some people we will never get over. You're not supposed to get over them.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose somebody you really love, you know, the hard part is recognizing that the love will always be there. That the reason why you have a lot of love, just like you said with the vision quote,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why you have a lot of grief is because you had a lot of love, you know? And then the question is, I remember here, I'll use me. I remember when my grandfather passed. I was driving back up. I was getting ready to cross the bridge, DC, where you see the Capitol on one side and the
Yeah.
harbor on the other side. And I said, man, this hurts. I was like, yo. But then I was like, and I thought about it. You know, I'm always thinking about stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, the reason why it hurts so much is because there is a relationship there for it to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to think about like, but would I give up all of that to have less pain today? And the answer was no.
Yeah.
You know, would I give up all that joy just so it would be easier now? Absolutely not, because that over there was just as important as this over here.
Right.
You know, and giving yourself some time to mourn and understand that some people you'll never get over. You just learn to manage it better.
Mm-hmm.
Some people you'll never get over. Some folk, you know, you will, but other folk, it's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think with the prayer piece, I was talking to somebody about this because she lost a family member, and she was like, I thought prayer works, da, 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 da. And it's kind of in a nutshell explaining to the person that we all go through seasons where we think, okay, this prayer thing ain't working right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because like just whatever's going on in your life is just so crazy and horrendous, and
Like, how could it be working?
how could it be working?
Yeah.
I think what I've learned is that hard times reintroduce us to the real purpose of prayer in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
The real purpose of prayer is not to get what we want from God. The real purpose of prayer is to connect to him and
Yeah.
have a relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of the Psalms, a huge part of the Psalms are lamenting prayers or prayers of grief. They're expressing their grief to God because they understand that the conversation, prayer does change things. But a part of prayer is also changing me in
Right.
the prayer,
Hmm.
where I get closer to God, that I talk to him in hard times. When I'm in the valley, I connect with him. When I'm in grief, I connect with him. You know, that's prayer. You'll find that solace, that comfort
Mm-hmm.
in prayer when we recognize that prayer is our conversation with God And he's our shepherd. We shall not want, no matter what season we're in. If I need
Yeah.
comfort, he's there. If I need help, he's there. Joy, he's there. If he got to change something, he can change it. If he decides not to change it, I can still pray and talk to him about how to manage the season.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
refocuses us.
I think that's good. And it's giving God the opportunity to be your father, because, you know, when things don't work out, as a daddy's girl, I'll go to my dad, and him just saying, you know, it will be okay, and being able to comfort me in those hard times. Sometimes that's all I need to, you know, to keep going. So I think it's like that same concept of giving God the opportunity to, you know, be there for you, even when things don't look like it's going to be okay.
Yep. And prayer always works.
Mm-hmm.
It may not work the way you want it to work, but it always works. How come God didn't answer me? He answered you. He just may not have answered you the way you desire to be answered in prayer. You know, and I believe in answered prayer. I believe in miracles. I believe in God doing all those great things. But I also understand that prayer works when you need comfort. It's there. Like you said, you go to your dad, and just him saying it's going to be okay just kind of gives you that. Okay. You believe it. I believe you. All right, it's going to be cool. I don't know how it's going to work out, but because you believe it, I'm with you. But I think all of us go through, how can I say this nicely? We'll just say it the way it is. We go through seasons where our emotions trump our logic. And sometimes we irrationally think something because we feel strong about it. And that's why you got to be careful of making big decisions when you're real emotional.
Yeah.
Your emotions always feel right.
In the moment.
Yeah, you'll think we'll think irrational at times when we're emotional.
That's true.
Ava, what's a MM? Okay. But yeah, just this grief conversation, just, you know, it's just been on me for these sessions.
No, I think it's needed, because these last year and a half, you know, for however long, it's been really tough, and a lot of people across the world are feeling grief. You know, we haven't had to go through an experience like this. Oh, Motivation Monday. We haven't had to go through, you know, a global event like this. I know, like, for me, it's been like, okay, what is going on and how do I deal with this? How I told you before, I was watching Grey's Anatomy and started breaking down, because just seeing the representation of what everything was going on in the hospitals and everything, it was a lot.
So they did actual shows centered around COVID, or just any show?
It was pretty much the whole season was about their experience as doctors dealing with COVID and the impact, how it impacted them.
You said Grey's Anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought that show was off. Okay.
No, it can't be done yet.
Oh. Oh no, I mean the healthcare. I remember when we did the vaccine panel, and the lady who was talking about the benefits of the vaccine, she said, "I worked the COVID." You know, she had a few family members pass away.
Yeah.
And she talked about how hard it was emotionally and mentally to work the COVID units because she had to work it.
Yeah.
She's an infectious disease doctor, so she had to work it, and she talked about how hard it was. You know, and it's almost like in the military. We're not built to see that much death at one time. And and kind of makes sense why so many military people come back with PTSD, because you're always on alert. You're afraid of dying. You're afraid of getting hurt. You got to look out for everybody else. You're seeing a lot of death. It kind of just, you know, you live on edge all the time.
Yeah.
And these doctors are seeing the same thing. I remember that one doctor in New York, she committed suicide from working the COVID units. It was just too overwhelming for her.
It's terrible. How do you stay optimistic about things when all you're seeing is death and people not making it?
That I don't even know the answer to that totally. I mean, I'm a big proponent of, if you're doing like high pressure jobs like that, you need somebody to talk to, therapy, counseling, somebody to help you process everything you're seeing and the struggles you're experiencing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you figure they're in the hospital rooms, you know, seeing all this stuff firsthand, and then worried about, am I going to take this home to my family? They're covered up from head to toe, and some of them, like, I didn't sign up for this. I was supposed to be just a regular anesthesiologist, but they got me working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
And I think there's some help there that all of us need, especially those who have those high pressure jobs, some outlet, somebody to talk to, somebody to really get it off. But it was some people I know, some people think we harp on COVID so much. Like, how come you don't talk about all the good stuff? Y'all always talking about being safe and being careful. That's because in the first couple months of COVID, you were here with us.
Mm-hmm.
We were getting so many phone calls from people whose family members have died, some of our members who got COVID. It was like an onslaught of prayer requests emailed to you, you sending to us. I think you were doing that.
Yeah.
Phone calls and stuff like that. And we're counseling people, and, people we know getting COVID, and just, it's like, that was a very, that was a time, because we were getting like nonstop phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
One person there had like 5 or 6 people die in their family from like in the span of like maybe 2 or 3 months. 1 a year is enough. I couldn't have 5 or 6 in like a 2 or 3 month period because of COVID. That's why you see us take it so seriously. And people that didn't do that weren't around all that, they're like, well, I'm vaccinated. We ain't worried about it. That was something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, well, like Tasha said in the comments, like, unless it impacts you personally, I don't think you get the impact. You ignore it and you continue about life as normal. But until someone in your family or someone has had it or passed from it, I don't think it's possible to grasp just how terrible COVID is.
Yeah, it is. It, like, KT does hospice work, and it's hard to cut your emotions off when you're around that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. As human beings, that nonstop picture of that is not the easiest thing to move on from.
Yeah.
It's like
sorry.
No, good. I
was going to ask you, like, as a father, like, the kids aren't supposed to be going through this. They're not supposed to have to go to school with mask and, everything else. How, as a father, how has it been trying to keep some sense of normalcy for your kids so that it's not stressing them out?
Well, my kids they're young enough to not know the real weight of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of not. It's not like they're like, oh, there's a virus around, so we got to wear our mask so we won't get sick. Yeah. Okay, so where we going? And or what's for dinner? It's not like they have the mind to conceive that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little difficult. You want to take them out before non-COVID. You can take them to the mall. You can take them to all these places and do stuff to kind of and now you just can't do this. So you find other safe ways, fun ways. Let's go out back. Play in the water or something. Just and when they're that young, the littlest stuff's gets them happy. It doesn't mean they don't want to go out and do stuff sometimes, but it's like, no, y'all gotta be safe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something. But a lot of teenagers are struggling.
Yeah. With
the homeschooling, the emotional part is messing with them. Being home and not everybody's built like that. Like when I was in school, if this happened when I was in school, I like people and all, but I didn't mind being home. I wouldn't want COVID to happen.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, my brother's there, got friends around the corner. Like,
right. Hey, I get that. I get that.
Some people, they were homebodies already, so the lockdown wasn't as hard for them.
It wasn't that big of an adjustment.
It wasn't that big of an adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah. What they miss is just their freedom, that if they wanted to go, they could.
Mm-hmm.
But some of us weren't going out to eat a lot before COVID. So it's like,
Yeah, I get it. I do have to say, not being able to go to the movies was a little bit of a challenge for me.
Yeah. But see, that was me. I used to go to movies once a week. But now that they start putting it straight to home, I'm actually liking it,
I
man.
like it, but you don't get
Oh.
the popcorn. The popcorn is what's missing. I feel like we talked about this before. You need to have
Go get your own popcorn.
movie popcorn.
Go get your own popcorn. Make your own movie popcorn.
It's not the same.
Or go pick it up and take it home and watch the movie at home.
And they're charging an arm and a leg for these movies.
Yeah, but you're paying $30, but you can watch it as many times as you want to. But you got to figure, like I look at me, my brother asked me that. If I take me and my son, it's going to cost us $20 between the two of us to watch it one time. I know he's going to want some popcorn. That's extra $6. That's $26.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
going to spend $30 and watch it at home, and he can watch it as many times as he wants to. He done watched Black Widow like twice already. I watched it once. We can pause it. If we got to go get up and do something.
Yeah.
Man, if they can keep this option open, I'd be a happy man. Yeah, Abe, a lot of teams are struggling with COVID. It's just the isolation, and it's hard too. Them missing it as adults, it may not seem important to us, but looking back at 15, 16, 17, yeah, I graduated when I was 18, yeah, because I was them missing their proms, school trip, and stuff. You've been looking forward to it, and the mind of a teenager, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And to lose that, I can see why, a lot of their friendships and stuff, I can see why it's so hard for them emotionally. Some be like, well, it's just a prom. But again,
it's a life moment.
Yeah, put your mind in the mind of a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. You graduating on Zoom versus,
I can get that. Like I didn't go to my senior trip.
I didn't either.
But even like before this whole COVID thing, I was like, man, I really wish that I did, because I think it's just an experience that you should have growing up.
I stayed home. I'd rather stay home. I stayed home all week.
Yeah.
They gave us the option to either stay home all week or go to trip, and I stayed home all week.
Oh goodness.
You went to school?
Huh?
You went to school?
Well, I skipped a day. I skipped my senior skip day. But yeah, I went to school.
Jeez.
See, I didn't go because one of my friends couldn't go financially, so I stayed home to stay with her. And I had already been to Disney World by that time, but now we're not even friends, so I wish I went on the trip.
I see people, my classmates post stuff. I'm like, I'm still glad I didn't go. I was fine by myself at home. I was good. I had a good time all by myself. Just stayed home, and it was great. It was great. It was wonderful.
Heron Stay says she's watching on her 15-minute break from work. Glad to see you.
How you doing? Yeah, but I get it. I mean, but again, everything's different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like my graduation was important.
Yeah,
and stuff. I was like, yeah, I went, but I was like, yeah, whatever. Somebody asked, what's the difference between the 7-day Adventist from non-denominational doctrine? More 7-day Adventists are on their view of scripture is more on the Old Testament, what we call the Old Testament views of scripture. So we still worship on Saturday. The Sabbath day is Saturday. Well, originally, a lot of non-denominational churches, they adhere to some, especially in America, some Protestant belief. They're just not affiliated with any particular large denomination for the most part. That's kind of a very vague and over broad answer. But yeah, I think our kids, we need to understand where they're coming from, especially the teenagers, that this is a hard season for them. It's difficult.
So we got a question from Tiffany on how to keep humble.
How to keep yourself humble? What do you mean? I need some encouragement working with a new chemist graduate. I'm just an intern, but I want to say, little girl, I've got 12 years before this in the lab. How can I keep myself humble? Just practice. Some people, you got to learn to let them make their own mistakes. You let your work do more than your talking.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, when they first start learning something, all of a sudden they think they're experts because they learned 2 or 3 things. Information should humble us, not make us more egotistical. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so some people you gotta just keep being the example.
Mm-hmm.
Something gonna come up, they're gonna make a mistake and need your help. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. And I do think that it's important to be open to learning,
Mm-hmm.
from people who you might have years experience on.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know. You can learn something too.
Yeah, you can learn from her. Yeah, learn from her, and she can tell you some stuff. But just do your job. That's what you do.
Yeah. Try not to take it as someone's trying to come after you or whatever.
And even if she arrogant and thinks she can come at you, just
Stay focused.
stay focused and let your productivity show.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we're young, we think we know everything. The older you get, you realize how much you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back over your life, I don't know if you reached that place. You look back at your teenage years or early 20 years, you're like, man, I was really stupid. Like, not overall, but just like, geez, dude. Every adult with some sense at one point in their lives looks back, it's like, wow, you really thought you knew and you had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
No clue at all.
You learn it now, though.
Yeah, you're learning it now, but when you as an adult, you really start to see, I don't know as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Ava, you crazy. That's a big class of 788. How did we get all the way out here? So grief and loss,
Yes.
new beginnings. It looks like we'll probably close on this too. It looks like the COVID rates are going back up. We're going to start probably seeing some restrictions sometime soon, and just know God is with us in all this. People like how with all this going on,
Mm-hmm.
He's with us in everything. In everything. Supplying what we need in everything. So I don't know how we got all the way out there. We done went
Well,
here.
we told them we tend to go on a tangent, so we just kept with our norm.
I know. All right, so what's going on this week?
This week, of course, we had the recap today at 5:30. The team's together to talk about yesterday's message on Curse Breakers. So tune in today at 5:30 on Facebook and YouTube with the whole recap team. And then we're broadcasting the drive-in service from Saturday at 7 tonight. That was a really good message, so make sure you tune in. Tuesday tomorrow, we have our Linked Couples Ministry with Pastor Nick. Yay!
Yay!
Can you give us a preview of what it's going to be about?
No,
I didn't think so. Just tune in. Just tune in tomorrow at 7. We're at Impact on Wednesday at 7. Bishop started a new series last week. So make sure you tune in on Wednesday as we continue in that discussion. Friday, we're having a Power of Prayer moment Friday morning. We have some prayers that we're going to start releasing throughout the week. So tune in that. There's nothing like corporate prayer, so I love those type of moments.
Okay.
That'll be Friday at 7.
What's that?
What's what?
The prayer moments. Who did those?
Oh, so I have a couple of prayers that we have stocked up. So there's going to be some influencers, some pastors. Yeah, it's a good mix of people.
Okay.
On Point Saturday at 9, Bishop and Pastor Nick talking about politics, culture, finances, sports. They talk about a lot of stuff. So Saturday at 9, Emerging Worship on Saturday at 6 p.m. And then on Sunday, it's the Celebration Sunday for Bishop David G. Evans, celebrating his 31st pastoral anniversary. We had the guest preacher, Bishop Joseph Walker, who's delivering the message on Sunday for the 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. service. And then back at 6 p.m. with Pastor Jamal Bryant for a special evening celebration. And I believe Vanessa Bell Armstrong is a musical guest that evening as well. So a lot going on this week.
Yeah.
So hope you all tune in. Make sure to share and let your friends know to tune in with you.
Okay. Cool beans. All right, cool. I'm so glad you all can join us today, and we'll see you this week.
We'll see you around.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.